Well, this is something we don't typically do here on the Rivalry Podcast, but we have to. It's just the way
Yeah.
that this works. Breaking news today: head coach from Michigan, Sherrone Moore, uh, let go from the university, relieved of
Yeah.
his duties as the head coach. And so we didn't want to wait until Monday for wheel route. We
I'm sure
wanted
we'll talk
to,
about more on Monday. Yeah.
yeah, literally. And so we're gonna talk through this a little bit. I'd love to get your immediate thoughts when you saw this, because I texted you immediately. Both our phones were blowing up with different group chats of people wanting to know from the Michigan side of things. Give a little update. Where
Yeah.
are you at with this?
Yeah. So, first of all, I thought this week was going to be a fairly slow week for the podcast. Like I had just finished up the job that pays the bills, and I'm like lying down, like take a little nap before family dinner, and my brother-in-law texts me a link to ESPN that says Michigan fires Sherrone Moore, and I'm kind of like, what in the world is he talking about? I like tap the link, and it like doesn't pull up the whole article because probably traffic was so heavy on it at the time. And so I was like, oh, okay. It's like one of those joke articles where you like type in whatever and you send it to people. That's funny. And then he kept texting me about it. And I'm like, oh no. And I like pull my laptop out. I run down to the table and my wife's like, what's going on? I said, your brother's texting me about Sherrone Moore. And I'm like researching like the cat gif. Yeah. So here's what I would say. So Sherrone Moore, and it's official. Got the email from the AD, all that stuff. Fired by the University of Michigan today. Felt like it was out of the blue for most people, understandably so.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the parameters of this podcast, we are very intentional about being garbage free, very careful of the things we talk about, the way we talk about them. So suffice it just to say, you can go read the story for yourself. Some indecencies on Sherrone Moore's part, to put it lightly, but we'll leave it at that. Before we go into the football side of it, I just think it's worth noting, like, forget football on this, like an ultimate level. Like, I feel for his family, his wife, for his kids, for everybody involved in the situation. Like, that is the most important thing. And so kudos to the university, at least in one respect, based on what we know right now, which is pulling the trigger on it. Now there's questions about, well, was there cover up and all that stuff? I don't know, but clearly a very difficult situation that is well beyond football. So the hope for us, I think, would be first and foremost, like any justice gets done, whatever that looks like, whatever that means. There's other, bits of information coming out about being detained by the Saline PD. That's for other podcasts, but that just kind of sets the stage for one, what's really important, and two, what's going on. But from a football perspective, I mean, so now that we've kind of set the stage on that, the far more secondary issue is, well, what does this look like for the football program? And obviously that's why we're here talking about it. I had said on the pod as recently as this week, Sherrone Moore, and I quoted Alex Drain over at MGO Blog and said, Sherrone has not shown me that he's not the guy, but he hasn't shown me yet that he is. And I gave him this upcoming year.
I think we both agreed on that. We both kind of said next year's kind of a real prove it.
Sure.
That's a pretty good year marker for how long you've been in the program, to bring in your guys. You got a lot of exciting freshmen, a really young team, honestly, a lot of promise. And then something like this comes along, and now everybody's kind of throwing their hands up like, all right, well, now what?
Yeah. So literally in the interim, heading into the Citrus Bowl against Texas, Biff Poggi will be the interim head coach, which I think is the right move. He's got head coaching experience. Obviously, he served as interim head coach for a couple games this year against Central and at Nebraska. And again, it feels odd and disrespectful almost to talk about football at this point, but I think we've set the table well enough. You get where we're coming from here, priority wise.
Yes.
But I do think that the football team performed very well under Poggi. Like, I thought the offense looked very good in both the Central game. Talent discrepancy, understandable. But even in the Nebraska game, like it felt like the reins were off a little bit, and you saw Bryce play well, and you saw the offense play well. So I think that's a good move for the interim. The big question, of course, is going to be twofold. One of the questions is going to be next head coach at Michigan. and the other one is going to be retention of talent.
And those are my two questions.
Yeah. So where do you want to start?
Yeah, those were my two questions. So I think let's start from the second question that you kind of already talked about.
Retention,
so, like, obviously keeping the players that you have, but even the guys that I know they've already had their signing day and all that. But I wonder if this can, and I don't know the NCAA rules when it comes to this, if there's a clause in there of some kind where if something like this were to happen, then players that are new recruits that have a certain window that they can then go move. Like, is that a concern? Should it be a concern?
Yeah.
And then as far as talent goes, I mean, you're looking at guys like, for me, one of the biggest ones, and I don't think it's a surprise, would be a guy like Underwood. Where you look at a guy like Bryce now, and I think we all kind of assume, he's going to come back to Michigan 100%. But now, I mean, the head coach that helped sway him there, all that stuff up in the air. I mean, those are legitimate questions from an outsider point of view.
Yeah.
But from a Michigan standpoint, where are you at with some of that?
Yeah, well, and I, yes, Sherrone certainly plays a role in that as head coach at Michigan, but let's also not forget that there are several $1 million of NIL that also enticed him to come to Michigan. Yeah. But I say that truthfully, but also a bit tongue in cheek. He's a Michigan born kid from right down the road in Belleville. So I mean, there's plenty of reason for him to stay there. It seems like it's a big domino to fall from your staff, obviously, but it's not, it's not Harbaugh going to the NFL and taking a bunch of guys with, like, that's not the situation. Chip Lindsey will continue to be there.
Maybe though. I mean, this could be a thing where the head coach that does come in wants to take over and bring in his own staff. And
I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that. Now, on the defensive side, go for it, please.
Was it more of you doubt that, or you hope not?
The thing that would have launched me into the sun today, on top of all this, would have been interim head coach Wink Martindale.
Oh man,
I can't.
I would have called you, not texted. That's how serious that would have been.
But joking aside, I'm beating around the bush here. I do think, and I have no inside information on this, nobody does. Okay, like this happened 3 hours ago. There is a legitimate concern, at least personally, that I have about talent retention because guys' phones are blowing up right now. And a guy like Bryce Underwood, despite being a Michigan kid, and again, I don't know the term, again, what about the contract and how does that work if a coach leaves and whatever? I don't know. You have other podcasts for that. But I'll tell you this. Originally an LSU commit who flips to Michigan now without a head coach, and LSU just hired the hottest coaching name in the entire carousel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that is a legitimate thing that could happen, but I am saying, like, nothing is off the table.
It is a thing that could happen.
It is a thing that could happen,
Yeah.
Do I expect that? No. But if tomorrow, maybe not tomorrow, if in January we get a report that says, hey, Bryce Underwood transfers to LSU, no one's going to be shocked by that.
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like for incoming guys like Savion Hyder? Who knows? What does it look like for going into the portal now? How do you, so a guy like Nick Marsh, right? Not Andrew Marsh, Nick Marsh from Michigan State, wide receiver that Michigan fans have really been wanting to go after now that he's in the portal. What's your pitch now? And so part of the pitch, to borrow from Brady Hoke, is we're Michigan, for gosh sakes. Like that's part of the pitch. But it does leave a real concern about roster retention and portal additions. And this was one of the issues where when Harbaugh left, when Sherrone stepped in, now there were multiple factors there, but Michigan, coming off a national title run, was late getting to the portal, and that's why they had the quarterback situation that they had the year before.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a very different situation, but there are those concerns. And that kind of transitions into the coaching search. The carousel has been bonkers, but most of your top candidates are gone.
Yeah.
The guys that you would think, hey, I might go after this guy. Was Lane Kiffin ever going to be a target? Who knows? They've already said Brian Kelly is not going to be interviewing for that job.
Dang it.
I appreciate.
I really wanted fake Brian UP accent to show up. That would have just
I'm here with you guys and my family, eh? But I do, the guys that you might go after have either signed, the Signettis and whoever have signed extensions. Could you buy them out? Sure, but that's not likely. And so the big targets on the board are already filled. And now it's not like you've been ramping up like Penn State for 7 months, but now all of a sudden you are the number one coaching job in America. But is there anybody out there that you actually want? And so this is, obviously we've said outside of football, horrible situation. It's a horrible football situation too. As far as do you want names of who
I don't disagree with anything you said. I think the timing of it obviously is unfortunate. The circumstance unfortunate. The thing that I think is going to end up having to happen is you're going to have to pry away a guy like a DeBoer from Alabama, somebody who, if they end up losing to Oklahoma in the first round,
now.
The seat gets a little bit warmer.
Yeah.
But realistically, I think it's either another internal hire, or I think it is somebody that is a coordinator somewhere in the NFL looking to get some head coaching experience.
Do you want to hear my list?
I want to hear I don't know how many you prepped, but give me 5 if you got them.
Okay. I have 6.
Is this in order? Is this in order of or just whatever order?
I'm going to start with the meh and then go to I'll go meh, and then the guys I love that are probably not going to come.
Okay.
So the meh name that I've heard thrown around is Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State.
Yeah.
No interest.
Really?
No interest.
Even if Sam Levitt were to swing over, let's say Underwood leaves, you get Levitt in there.
You don't need Levitt unless Underwood goes
Levitt
somewhere.
Alone?
Yes, I'd Levitt alone. Yeah, no interest in Kenny Dillingham. Guys that I like, Kalen DeBoer would be in there. I don't know that I love it, but I like it.
I think he's a trickier spot. I think they would have to lose. They'd have to lose against Oklahoma, and then even the buyout for that is kind of wild.
I don't think that dude is leaving Alabama, but we're just throwing names at the wall here of guys that are remotely available. I'm not going to put Curt Cignetti on here because that's not even worth looking at. Jed Fish is another name that gets thrown around.
Yeah, Washington.
Now, he's a Washington guy, but if you're not familiar, he was a coach. He was a coach at Michigan. He was the passing game coordinator and the quarterback and wide receivers coach. That feels like it could be a very good fit. Because now, Sherrone ironically talked about bringing in a quarterback coach and stuff like that. I mean, Jed Fish has that type of experience. You could gain Chip Lindsey and have him be the OC, but you've now got a coach who knows how to talk to quarterbacks along with Chip. That would not be the worst thing in the world. Would it work? Who knows? And anybody telling you that, oh yeah, this would absolutely work is an idiot. Because how many people thought Jimbo Fisher would work at A&M? Or, whatever. Here's the 3 names that I love that I don't know that they're likely to go anywhere. Number 1, you want to know I'll give you my number 1. Okay. My number 1 dude I'd love to see would be Jesse Minter.
Can he? He can't though, right?
He has a show cause that ends in a couple months.
Oh, I didn't realize that ended that soon.
Because again, the NCAA is the NCAA has no clue what they're doing. And so here's the guy who's like, okay, what? It's kind of like the Devin Gardner or not Devin Gardner, Denard Robinson being implicated for giving a kid a couple pairs of sweatpants and got a 3-year show cause. Okay, cool. Okay, hook 'em. Jesse Minter would be phenomenal, obviously, on having phenomenal year with Seattle last couple of years with the Seahawks. Have no idea if he'd want to come back to the college ranks, but was a phenomenal defensive coordinator, as a phenomenal head coach, would be a great hire for Michigan. Dan Lanning would be high on my list. $20 million buyout.
There ain't no way.
$20 million buyout. That's chump. Where's Barstool?
Take back what you owe Bryce, and there you go.
And again, not likely to happen, but you sure as heck better be making that phone call.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know. This might surprise you. Are you ready for the guy that's probably near the top of my list? Jesse Minter's 1A. This guy is 1B. Marcus Freeman.
That doesn't surprise me.
Number one, and maybe it's a reaction to just Sherrone, but like Marcus just seems like a good guy, right? Like that's not all that goes into being a football coach, right? Brady Hoke was a good guy and a terrible football coach. Marcus Freeman seems like a good dude, good family guy, and seems like he really knows what he's doing. Would he ever leave Notre Dame? Who knows? But I can tell you he's third in the betting odds right now. And so, like,
that would be a phenomenal. I don't think it'll happen. If I had to make a list and I was a Michigan guy, sign me up all day. And I've said I've given him crap in the past. Yeah. I still would stand on that hill, but given the circumstances where you guys are, I would be all about it.
And that is the advantage of Michigan having the NIL resources that it has, is where other schools might in this situation might not be able to go swing for, let's take a Dan Lanning, right? Let's take a $20 million buyout. USF, isn't going to be able to go do that, right? Nor would he go there. But Michigan has the resources, and also Michigan is it's the bluest of blue bloods. Like there's appeal there. And so that's none of those names are me saying, yeah, these are going to happen, or I have no inside information on. This is me kind of looking at the conversation this afternoon and going, who's even available? And then going, who would I actually like to see there? But yeah, I'd say Freeman, Minter, and Lanning would be the top three candidates. No clue if it's going to happen. If I were a betting man right now, which I'm not because this is still from a ministry, I'm Baptist, so we can't do that. If I were a betting man right now, I would put my money on Jedd Fisch.
Honestly, I think that's probably pretty accurate.
And would it be a good hire? No idea. But I saw somebody else point out too, and I don't think this is in hindsight either. It's looking at Sherrone Moore and going, are we really thinking that somebody like Jedd Fisch could do a better job with that? And I feel like you could.
Well, and with a guy like what he's had success with Damon Williams, like you got another mobile quarterback in Bryce Underwood that he would probably love to be able to go and coach.
And here's what I'd say. And I know we don't want to go too long here because I'm sure we'll have more to talk about this on Monday for the podcast, which, by the way, will be a playoff preview episode as well. So lots to talk about on Monday. But I would say this: if I'm Michigan, you don't want to rush the process, but you better move with some speed. I felt like, in hindsight, 2020, sure. It felt like when Harbaugh left, giving Moore the job felt right and felt rushed. It seemed like it was kind of we're so late in the portal set. Like we came off the title, and will he or won't he? And
in his defense, in Harbaugh's absence, he coached really well.
And Harbaugh said that I don't know that he appointed him as like, this is my successor, but he definitely had, I think, the blessing from Harbaugh to be the guy. So again, hindsight's 2020. You can look back now, obviously, and be like, well, we should never have done that. Sure. But what I fear is making such a quick decision that you don't get the right guy. And in 3 years, not this particular situation, but in 3 years, you go, this isn't working. And we're on. That's Michigan State type stuff, right? Here's Mel Tucker. We're going to sign you, and you're actually not that good of a coach. You just had Kenneth Walker, that sort of thing. But I also think that Michigan does need to move with speed, because if you're interested in roster retention and portal additions, you cannot drag this out. Now, what's that timeline look like? I don't know. If I knew that and I was in charge of that, I'd be making a lot more money right now and not be doing this podcast. But I don't think that's rocket science, though. Like you better identify your targets. Hopefully, if unfortunately, if this has been an ongoing investigation, I don't believe all of a sudden they just found out this morning.
No, there was a report. I forget when they said, but I want to say it had been going on since like early November even.
So if you know that, and again, we've painted the picture, what's really important. From a football perspective, if you know that's coming down the line, if you think it's coming down the line, I hope you've been making some calls already. I hope that you've at least been putting together a list and going, we know who we want to go after, and we know we have the resources to do it. If you haven't been doing that, I guess I don't. If you haven't been doing that, what would you say you do here? What are we paying you for?
No, honestly.
And that's beyond whatever else board manual may or may not be, responsible for, and whatever else.
Yeah.
But if you haven't been planning ahead and you know that's coming. It's like in college when we were supposed to be doing a group project, like our final was a group presentation, and one member of our group was writing the introduction to our presentation on his way downstairs to print it 30 seconds before class. And I about lost my mind. If that's what we're doing here, we're in for a world of hurt, and it will set your program back for a long time. So you better get it right.